Good to be back in person. I don't think we were in person since the end of the 19th season, so it's good to be with you guys. I know you guys have a lot of questions. I'll just start briefly. First, I'd like to thank every single player that participated in our training camp this year. And I know all the effort, dedication, hard work that goes in to the year, and when we got together as a group, starting all the way back in April. I just want to thank them. And there were a lot of tough decisions, obviously a lot of action the last couple days, but I really want to thank all those guys for their hard work and dedication. And then, it's been great watching our staff, watching the players build chemistry, a lot of energy with Coach Solid and his staff. I feel like there was a lot of progression made this summer. So that's it. I'll just open up the questions from here.
What led to the Bless Austin release?
Yeah, I think so. That was a very difficult decision, DJ. We made two claims on the defensive side of the ball, and ultimately we made the decision. We drafted young players at the position, and instead of asking Bless to take a reduced role, we're going to give these young guys an opportunity, and out of respect to him, give him an opportunity to find a larger role with another team. A very difficult decision because Bless is a stand-up guy and a hell of a competitor, but a difficult decision.
Another one of those, Jabari making the decision to kind of move on from him. Does that have to do at all with his injury? I mean, is he someone you want to get back on the practice squad, or is it just moving on?
No, not moving on from Jabari. We're still very much excited to work with Jabari. That was another difficult decision, claiming a defensive end from Kansas City, Timmy Ward. We made the decision. He was back healthy today. Jabari was ready to go and practice, and we told him we're going to make this move, get him through waivers, bring him right back to practice squad, assuming he clears.
What's it like for you? First of all, have you ever been associated with a team that has this many young players, this many rookies going into a season?
Yeah, I think if my calculations were right, we're around 20 first and second year players. So almost 40% of the roster first and second year players. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. At the same time, there's going to be some ups and downs, but the passion, the excitement, the speed that these guys play with, it's been exciting to see during training camp. And I know these guys are fired up to get going as we prepare for Carolina. I know the coaching staff's fired up for them as well.
We didn't see Jamison Crowder out there at practice.
Yeah.
I don't think he's hurt, or unless something pops
Yeah,
up.
he actually tweaked. He has a minor tweak with his groin, something, and Coach can talk about as well. But just a minor tweak with his groin. Not expecting it to be a long-term thing, and we'll see where he is on Monday next week.
Joe, with Herndon, was it just a case of kind of moving on and what the return was that you were getting? Like, it was a combination of that? What went into that move?
No, I think Chris was having a good camp for us. He was getting a lot of run. We had a good rotation going. Him, Tyler, Griff, and so I think this was a situation where Minnesota was aggressive in their pursuit starting last Saturday. I think they had a rash of injuries at the position. They felt like they needed a player that could come in and help now. With them running a similar system to us, they targeted Chris, and things really heated up Monday and into Tuesday.
How comfortable are you at the quarterback spot? I know Josh is back, but you really have no veteran backups right now.
Yeah, having Josh, bringing Josh on, having him in the room, I feel like we're in a really good place in terms of the chemistry. These guys really push each other. Mike, having been here the last couple of years, watching him develop the last 2 years, adding a guy like Josh and his experience, and you guys saw what he did in the first half of last week's game against Philadelphia. His presence, he's a rock that a lot of the guys can lean on, and he's been through a lot of scenarios. He's seen a lot of things, so we feel good about this group and the way that they push each other as a whole.
Is it tough for you, though, at all to not have that veteran quarterback behind Zach, considering the 2 rings on your finger from Nick and Trent?
Yeah, I've had each situation is mutually exclusive. I've been in situations where rookie quarterbacks have had to come out and play, and there wasn't a lot of experience in the room behind them. if I think back to 2008. So I think each situation is different. I think it depends on the quarterback being asked to play, and the scheme, the coaching staff, the room as a whole, the chemistry. And I think where we are right now with Zach and his progression, I think we feel good about it. Well, I know we feel good about it, I should say.
Sorry, has he progressed the way you hoped and expected, and what's impressed you most about him this summer?
He's been everything we've hoped for. Scouting him at BYU, again, just his passion for the game, the way he soaks up information, his process, his process, his preparation, just the way that he gets ready for practices, and it's been good seeing him download this information, not making the same mistake twice. Obviously, his physical skills jump out. The way he throws the ball, it's just a effortless motion. The way the ball jumps out of his hands. So, he's been everything that we hoped he would be coming out.
Joe, your job, you have to see the long view, but I think players and coaches are obviously, they have a shorter view. How do you balance the youth that you talked about and development and all of that sort of thing, but also wanting to win in 2021? Yeah,
it's a good question because, it is really my job to stay out in front and see a big picture. And the staff is focused on win now, but we're all focused on win now. We're all focused on doing what's best for this organization this year and in the future. And I think what I know, Coach, and what I've been preaching since I've been here is we want to do this the right way. We want to build this foundation the right way so that it's a long-term success and not just a flash in the pan. And I feel good about where we are in terms of the foundation of this team moving forward.
How will you gauge success this year?
I think gauging it's going to be one. I can't wait to see these young guys play. I really can't wait. I know, and it's been great to see the veterans take all these young guys under their wing. And I've said chemistry a lot, but it's really cool to see this chemistry develop. And I think success is going to be watching us go out like we did in preseason and play good, sound, fundamental football with a lot of intent, with a lot of passion, a lot of explosiveness, a lot of violence, as Coach says, and watch us develop as the year goes.
Is part of that excitement for you as well? Because I think all but 9 of these players are your guys, like guys you picked, guys you signed, guys you added. I mean, is the fact that this is basically your hand-picked team, is that add to your excitement to see them on the field?
No, I'm just excited for our staff to put their fingerprint with the scheme that they've brought in. I'm excited to see these young guys develop and really reach their goals, because each one of these guys have individual and team goals, and I feel like with the support staff that we've been able to put into place, that we can really help every single person through individual player development plans reach their goal, whether it's personal or professional.
Joe, the cornerback position is so young. I mean, you talked about young players. The cornerback really stands out. I think that's all first and second year guys now, except for Hardy probably. Does that worry you at all? I mean, there's going to be some long days this season, I imagine, with cornerbacks that young. Yeah,
look, when you have a young position group, you do wonder how some guys, there's a little bit of an unknown factor, right, with a young group, but also we've been at practice. We've seen the games. We've seen these guys compete. We've seen these guys move around. I know they're getting the best coaching that they can possibly get from Coach Sala, from Brick, from T.O. So I have a lot of confidence in the secondary. They're all wired the right way. There are high-level competes in that room, and I think you guys are going to see that as the season progresses.
You guys obviously had a lot of high hopes for Carl Lawson, and he's going to be a big part of the defense. How big a loss is that going to be, and do you have enough to overcome that?
Yeah, Carl, obviously tough loss, but injuries are a part of this game, unfortunately. And I think the thing that gets you excited is that we know that we brought in the right type of person and the right type of player in Carl. And also, we have a great D-line group. There are some real passionate, just war daddies out there that bring it every day, and they're not. No one's feeling sorry for themselves. I know you guys talked to several of those guys. Everyone's got Carl's back, and Carl has everyone's back, and these guys have bonded together, and look, adversity happens. I think adversity happened early in the year, early in training camp, and it's going to happen again. And so I think this group is wired to handle it.
What do you
Robert.
expect from Shaq Lawson?
Yeah, Shaq brings energy, and when we talk about junkyard dog mentality, Shaq brings that. He's brought it since day one. He brought it from we'll just remember evaluating him at Clemson. He brought that mentality, that toughness, the grit that we want, the strain, the intent. He brings that, and so excited to have him, and I know he's excited about letting his personality show and being the player that we all know he is.
Robert had mentioned to us that, and I don't know if the Dan Brown and Griffin re-signings were what he was referencing, but he had said you were looking to do some things with the tight end room and bring some guys in. Is that done now for the most part with Griffin and Dan, or are you looking to add
Yeah,
someone else?
getting Griffin and Dan back in the room is big, and we know what Griff brings from a leadership standpoint. We know what Dan brings from an athleticism and special team standpoint, and his ability to create mismatches in the pass game. So we do feel good and feel good about getting Kenny back to the practice squad. I think you guys saw some of the upside that he has in that last game against Philadelphia.
You guys also lost Jared Davis, and he was going to play a big role. You won't have him early in the season. You got some young guys there making, position changes from college. So just what do you see out of that group, and how much do you think you can get out of those young guys early in the season as they make this leap?
Yeah, when we took those guys, we were excited about them. I think it wasn't the plan for these guys to play as much as they are, but they earned it. They went out there and they attacked the practice every day. They just soaked up the playbook. Both those guys, Jay Wood and Ham, they do a phenomenal job of preparation. They compete every day. They play fast. And so it's exciting to see those guys really attack the position switch and progress and show the improvement that they made throughout spring and then early part of camp, and now to see where they are now. And see where to see where they're going to be by the end of the season. It's going to be exciting.
When you were first hired, you had talked to us a lot about how it starts on the offensive and defensive lines. You mentioned the defensive line a couple minutes ago there, but how would you assess the job you've done up front with that offensive line to this point, and your expectations for them heading into the season?
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of resources put into both sides of the lines, and look, we're what we've done the last couple of years hasn't been good enough as a team, as a whole. 9-23, it wasn't good enough, but we're excited about this group. This group didn't really have time in terms of the O-line to get together and build that chemistry last year. You've seen that chemistry build this year, having another year here with George, with Connor, with GVR, adding Morgan Moses, an established vet who's an absolute stud and a pro's pro, and then the young guys continuing to develop. I think you're really starting to see this group come into their own, and then add on top of it this scheme and this coaching staff. So I'm excited to see how this group does.
Did you want James Morgan back on the practice squad?
James was a guy that we had talked about bringing back. Ultimately, he felt like the best place for him would be to go to Carolina.
Did you find it interesting? I mean, it's always interesting when a player that your team you're about to play picks up one of your ex-players. Do you think there's anything to that?
Yeah, we've had experience with that a couple of years ago with Davis. It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
Joe, you're coming off a 2-win season. You have all these new players. What's a realistic goal for 2021?
I think it just go back to what I said earlier. I mean, the goal is to get better every week. The goal is to play sound, fundamental football, to establish a line of scrimmage, and really develop as the year goes. I think when you see the character of this team shine through in the early part of training camp, I think you're going to see it shine through as we progress through the season.
So you don't set things like playoffs though, or Super Bowl. You don't do that.
Nice try, Brian.
Come on.
No, I'm not.
Be in a situation where you're claiming a current player's brother?
I've had experiences in the past with being around brothers back in Baltimore, and then 2 years ago we had Jamie here, Jamie Mosley here, CJ's brother. So, look, I think if you were to ask Quinnen, if any transaction we make, if this player helps us win games, he's all for it.
Take a couple more.
What do you feel Robert has brought to this team that needed?
Obviously, you guys see the energy every day. You guys see the passion. You see what you guys probably don't see day to day is just the thoughtful nature of how he approaches everything. And then you see someone that really how him and his staff create accountability and ownership. These team meetings are phenomenal. And Robert does such a great job of having his finger on the pulse of every aspect of our team, from the locker room to offense, defense, special teams. And all of that is, you see that in his team meetings and how he communicates with the team. So I think his ability to really have his finger on the pulse of everything, along with his passion, his people skills, his communication skills, and the staff of great teachers that he's brought in, it's been special to watch.
DJ and Andy.
Obviously, Bless was one of your more experienced cornerbacks. Obviously, you're gonna have Isaiah, you're gonna have Brennan Echo, Jason Planock. So how close, fighting for that other spot, how close are they in terms of ability to fill in the void that Bless Austin left?
Well, it is a void, and these guys certainly have the athletic ability to play in this league. I think we've seen that as training camp has progressed. I think once they go through the rigors of the season, the early parts of the season, and get that experience under the belt, they're only going to get better and go from there.
With Denzel Mims, from our standpoint, he's had an up and down, off season and training camp. Just where do you see his development, and how do you think he fits into this offensive scheme?
Yeah, I think with Denzel, Denzel obviously was battling some sickness through OTAs. Came in, was really progressing well. You guys were there for the Giants game in the second half. Some big time plays. Was really making strong progression through training camp. Had the hip flexor prior to the Green Bay game, so that was a little bit of a down point. But he's battled back. He's fully healthy now. We're very excited to have Denzel and continue to develop him. I mean, obviously his talent, his explosiveness, his size, his catch radius, strong hands. You see all that. It was on full display in the second half of that Giants game. So he's someone that we're very excited to continue to work with and develop.
Thanks, everyone.